that or how to fix it either. So
I don't know how to fix that.
If worst comes to worst, I can stream it, but I can't really do the what's it called, the faces. I can just do the voice. That's about it.
Okay.
If that
Well,
that's
we
what you want
can
to
we
do.
can figure it out. Cosmic, keep an eye on chat. See if anybody says anything. Like on my end, it
Yeah,
looks good, but
yeah, it seemed fine on my end too, but I don't know. So,
as I'm saying, like I don't know like what's happening with it.
but
So yeah,
we'll see.
it is what it is. Okay. So I don't know if we're still gonna be having difficulties. We're gonna play it by ear. If it's fucked up, we're gonna have to try and figure something else out. But Cosmic, keep an eye on chat, and we will see how it goes from there. Oh, Cortez. So like this is what happens like when I have to stream shows, like it's fuzzy and cuts out and shit. So like I don't know. You're
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I had to unmute my mic. I'm just in here for a few minutes. Yeah, I was trying to watch. It was all choppy, but I got Pale saying things for my team, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Not bad, Nate
does
Barclay.
it look better now? Like
I
I don't
I haven't seen the new link yet. I was waiting for Cosmic to put it in the chat.
Oh,
It
okay.
seems
Well,
good.
you're in there
Yeah,
now.
Okay.
It seem a
Well,
little bit
I'll go
better.
watch. I'll let you
It
know.
could, you know what it
seems
is?
alright.
Okay, because that link, I just edited it. It was an old one that I had put up, so I just edited it with a new date and I just used it. But maybe that's what fucked it up. So that could have been part of it. So, anyways, Cosmic was just about to break your team down, Cortez. So I'm gonna send it over to him. You see the 4-2 start. We talk about the versatility with some of the players on there. What do you think of your buddy's team after week one?
Well, from what I saw, I was watching this. I think it was D Swish's first series like action on the team, so I saw that watch, and um, I like what I saw. The finishing was, I guess that's something that everyone kind of gets in the first series. Like, for example, my team only scored one goal in the first game, and it was in overtime. But I mean, hey, we got it done. But I guess everyone just kind of has to get used to it of the pace of league play. And but after the first series, they kind of went on a tear, and um, I guess now they have things sorted, and we can be looking forward to them to putting home a lot of goals. Swag is kind of a known finisher. I don't really have the roster in front of me, and I don't really remember what you said, but I know Swag's up there. I think Cortez is. I think you're playing forward as well. Um, so I know you're versatile and forward, and you can kind of play make, but you can finish as well. And your center, Tom FTW, everyone knows he's. I played with him season 5 Victoria's Secret Champions, not a big deal, and he's a he's a two-way forward. He likes to dish it to his wingers and with speed, and that's kind of what brought us success. So if he can do that on your team, I think you guys should be okay.
And Tom's looking for that redemption, man, because it's been the last couple seasons been a bit rough for him, coming off a season where his rookie season, I believe, where he just made such an impact for Victoria's Secret. He's trying to get back to the promised land, and they're off to a good start. 2 series wins against 2 captains who seemingly know what they're doing. So that's a big start to the season because you want to get those series wins, but that's against 2 guys who know what they're doing. So shout out to Cortez on that. Do you want to
We
touch on
actually
your?
we actually didn't beat Jelly's team in the series. We lost that series 2-1.
Did
But
you?
but
Yeah,
the thing is
I'll
with
say.
that series, the thing is our team. Obviously, as you know, I kind of explained it to you a little bit. I haven't been able to be on the last few weeks, and my poor team, we haven't been able to play together. And the first night I got to play with them was the night of our first series there. We didn't know what lineup we were doing yet. I was playing on a connection that had 85 plus ping the entire time. We ran 3 different lineups in our first series, and finally in game 3 we found the one that we like to roll with, and that's why Wizzy's on the bench. It has nothing to do with how Wizzy's playing. It's more of the rookie guy I got, Elliot. He is really solid. I can't believe it. Like, obviously, as a new guy in the league, no one's going to take him that early if they don't know him. But I lucked out. He's basically a fourth or fifth round defenseman you would draft in this league, and he's shaping up to be real well. Everybody's doing their part on the team. I mean, the Jelly series could have went either way. They were bad goals from both teams, all 3 games. We just lost game 2 by 1 goal with like 20 seconds left. But that other series against your squad, Daly. Like, you guys have a great squad. I mean, I think our team just showed up and played well. But other than that, like, bad goals went in for us as well in that series. So some fine tuning is going to kind of help it out with some more time and practice getting in. But I like my team.
It's the biggest thing is, it's week 1. We saw Chili Con Carnage go, what was it? 1-8-3 or something last year.
Yeah.
And they won the whole thing. So, or not maybe last year, maybe it was the season 4, but like, again, like sometimes it takes a minute to click, so you can't go panicking after week 1. So there's a guy who made a trade 12 seconds into the season, but like, you get what I mean? Like, you can't panic straight away. You gotta be patient with it. And
well, funny thing is, can I touch upon that trade that you made? Cause I just heard it now on the show. I actually like that trade for you. Like, I was talking to you about what I think maybe something could have been fixed up a little bit, but Pale said it perfectly. Like, you like a defensive center, and I don't think you were going to get that from Shea. And Shea is good. He can carry the puck. He can make something happen. But you need a guy that you can rely on defensively so you can use your talents offensively. And that's when you are best at forward, especially if you're going to be playing that. So I like that trade for you. And I think it also – I don't think it works for Dom's team yet because, I mean, you have Dolly who likes to carry the puck. You have Dom that looks for the pass. But Shea – I think Shea needs to morph himself to whatever team he's on for this first season and really find himself as a Sixes player instead of a Versus player. And I just don't know if that's going to be the team for him. But
the biggest thing for Shea, the biggest thing for Shea is that Sixes and Versus is obviously two very different worlds. In Versus, you're doing everything on your own, from passing to shooting to scoring. So whatever decisions you make, it's on you, right? You're making all the decisions for yourself. But when you are playing Sixes, much like real hockey, like every move, everything, every place that you are on the ice can dictate a play. So I think that's the biggest thing. It's going to be adjustment, is getting in that mindset of like, oh shit, like I'm still playing hockey, but I'm playing with 5 other guys who have a brain of their own and are moving to their own thing. So it's being able to physically read off the players that you're playing with. That will probably be as big as adjustment, but I think once he figures it out, I think he's going to be.
He'll be a dangerous player as soon as he figures out exactly how to roll in this league.
As I said, like right now, you could go either way on the trade, but I think Shea is going to be a really good player, but he does need to fine tune some of those aspects of his game. So, and I'm sure he will. He's a hockey guy, so I'm sure he will. So, let's not count him out on that. And, he's going to get to play with Dolly, who's arguably one of the better forwards in the league. He gets to play with Dom. I think Drift King plays up there. They've got a good team, man. And they're the next team we're going to talk about. They're 3-2-1. You got Dolly, Time to Get Steven, Dominator Silva, Tomps, Rybish, B-Crips, and then Feeney. And obviously now they've added Shea into that mix. So when I look at this roster, it looks like you'll have Shea at center, Dolly at left wing, and Steven at right wing, with Dom and who would be on defense? Is it Dom and
Rybish?
And Rybish.
They're both part-times.
Looks like B-Crips is working in there too. I know Tomps can play a little bit of D, and it looks like he did that. And I think that's a really smart play. It's tough because
I thought he had goalie only for this season.
Yeah, he's goalie only.
Well, Dom used emergency games because Tomps has 3 points. So he definitely used his emergency games for a series. So Tomps has played out unless he had 3 points, and we're tracking goalie points now, which I don't think we are.
No.
It looks like Dom used some emergency games, which is fine. That's what they're there for. I think you get 6 or something or other. I'm not sure.
I think you only get 3 as a skater.
3 skater, 6 as a goalie.
3 skater, 6 as a goalie. So that trade all but solidifies, I think. Tomps can't be your lefty. Who's your lefty then? I'm confused.
Finney and Rybish both play left side.
They're both LG guys.
So that makes sense. So maybe Finney wasn't available last week. Maybe some MIA stuff. So you use Tomps out. So that makes sense then. So, but yeah, man, like I said, I like the makeup of this team. I think Dolly is, I'm not underrated. He's, to me, one of the better left wings in the league. Actually, I think he probably is the best left wing in the league. So you have that. Shea's going to be in the middle, and then Steven, who's this guy gets a lot of slack. Time to Get Steven, but every single season he kind of chameleons into a role. And the teams he's been on, if you go back to season 4 and beyond, he's always there. The guy's won 2 cups. He's always playing different positions. People will say that his like dealing with him is an issue. I think Steve's a great guy personally, myself. So I don't know where people really get that from, but the guy continues to fall every single season, and I know for a fact Dom really likes playing with Steven. So this team's looking to kind of work in, and I think Shea could be a big part of that. So they're 3-2-1. I'll send it over to you, Pale. What are you thinking so far with Dominator Silva squad?
Well, first off, yeah, let me say, like, I had Steven on my worst season in 239. He was, a big part of that team. He was the first pick that I made in that draft. And to be honest, like, we sucked with him on the team. But he was a really chill guy for the most part in that entire season. I had no issues dealing with Steven. I think I think he's got like a personality, and sometimes that rubs people the wrong way, and maybe that from an outside looking in kind of perspective, it's a little bit harder to judge. But that whole season, he was a big part in leading that team, and even though we didn't do so well, he was a positive guy. He was always looking to try and make things happen that would improve the team, and always giving input and in a constructive way. And I had no issues with Steven at all. So I'm not really sure where that reputation of being hard to deal with comes from either.
I think it was his past, but again, we grow, right? Like what we did playing NHL 09 should not dictate. We're all about second chances, and Steve's never. By the way, Steve has never done anything like, at least to me, where it's like, oh my god, whatever. Like it's just how he is, I guess. But Steve's, I mean, he's fucking guy's 27 years old now. Like it's not like how it was, like everybody's older. Like it's just a thing. So I think this mindset that we have of like how guys were like years ago, like look at McSwagger, man. Like McSwagger was a piece of shit, and he'll even tell you he was. And like people grow, people figure it out. So yeah, but, a fair point.
But yeah. As far as the rest of Dom's squad, man, I think he's got a really solid squad. Their defense. I know Rybish and Finney. I played a couple of games with them in preseason, and when Dom was putting his LG squad together, I played with them. They're both really solid players. They probably could have gone higher in the draft, but they're part-time and they don't prioritize 239, so it's kind of hard to find space for guys like that on your roster when you don't know whether they're going to be there or not. But when they're in the lineup, they're going to give you a really good defensive presence. I don't know what's going on with the B Crips Tomps situation. I'm going to guess that Dom Silva said, you know what, I need B Crips to go in and play because I need to see his value go up more. So B Crips goes in net in his last series, and I guess he put Thompson for his emergency games. It's crazy to me that he's got two of the best goalies in the league on the same roster, and he has no way of playing them in their best positions simultaneously. So I don't know what's going to go on with that. I think the default roster right now has B Crips on the bench with Dom Silva at right D, Finney or Rybish on left D, Thompson net, and then time to get Steven on right wing. Or I think he's actually been playing him at center, but now he made the Shea trade, so Shea's going to be at center.
No, you're good.
With Dolly, Shea, and time to get Steven at forward. So I think he's got a really good team. He's got a lot of talent on the team, obviously. We'll see what happens. They're kind of like a 500 team right now. There's going to be changes to the roster because Dom is going to be actively shopping B Crips to try and make a trade and improve somewhere else on his team. So what happens, I have no idea. I'm a general we'll see with Dom's squad for this so far.
Now, before I send it over to Aiden, I just got some Jelly, do your fucking stats. do your fucking. I mean, we're 1 week into the goddamn season, Jelly. Do your fucking stats. Not like, oh, I'm stuck and I got to do this and jerk off in a corner. They take 14 fucking seconds. Do your fucking stats. Are you listening, Aiden? Is your friend listening? I'm sure he's listening. Tell him to do his goddamn stats.
He's probably listening, but I can call him if you really want me to.
I mean, you're fine. You're fine. Has anybody said anything about the stream, Aiden? Are we okay?
No, I think we're fine. I think we're good.
It was probably just a faulty link, guys. Like, it's 2018. This shit happens. So, Aiden, what do you think about Dom Silva's squad, man? Give me the lowdown.
I was really confused when they get, like you said, the two best goalies in the league and Thompson, B. Cripps. When they got Thompson, I was like, okay, like they're solidifying their goalie spot, and then they take B. Cripps, and I was just confused. At first, I thought he was going to try and shop B. Cripps, and it seems like he is, but I think all the captains are starting to come on. Like, he knows that he kind of needs to get rid of B. Cripps, or needs to get rid of at least one of them, and they're not going to give him as much as he's probably worth because, if he has him on his team, they're only going to do worse. Not anything against B. Cripps, it's just you'd have two goalies and you can't put two goalies in the same net. So, I mean, it's kind of a issue that he has to resolve as much value.
Well, keep in mind too, whoever trades for B. Cripps still has to work around that schedule. Now, for someone like me who I refuse Tuesdays because I work, I just work, it's what it is. That's basically now you're taking another day out of potentially B. Cripps' schedule with your refuse day. So let's say I'm saying oh, the guy's available. Are you going to start rescheduling? Well, you only get 2 reschedules this year. There is more factors that hurts B. Cripps' value because of his schedule. And I feel that's why B. Cripps fell to begin with. But Dom does have a piece. Dom is not just going to give B. Cripps away. Is Dom going to get lesser value for B. Cripps? Most likely, yeah. But he's not going to give the fucking guy away just because someone needs a goddamn goalie. So Dom, at this point, he's fielding a roster. He's starting his 6 every night. And when those days come when B. Cripps is available, B. Cripps might have to ride pine until the right deal comes through. But again, B. Cripps also has to understand that, he was the best player on the board. Dom took the best player on the board for value, especially if he knew he was going to get these part-time guys later because everybody was staying away from him. So Dom has this trade piece in B. Cripps. I mean, is it safe to say that B. Cripps isn't going to be on this roster all year? Probably, and everybody knows that. But the right deal has to come along. And Dom has, by the way, been able to utilize B. Cripps. I think B. Cripps won the series in net. So it's not all for nothing. Did he lose it? Okay, so he didn't. He lost the series. I'm not sure.
There were 2 overtime losses, I think, but still either way.
So 4 points. They got 4 points out of B. Cripps.
Yeah.
4 out of 6. That's pretty good. I mean, that's.
I mean, you're basically getting a series win. You're not wrong. I was just saying,
no, you're right though. But B. Cripps is, he's coming in there. He's doing his keep. So I'll send it to you, Cortez, man. What do you feel about Dom Silva's team? What do you think?
Okay, so, I mean, there's 3 of us in here that are in the captain's chat. Obviously, none of us will share what trades we've seen go for the whole B. Cripps thing. But you hit the nail on the head with Dom's not going to get what the value of B. Cripps is, and I mean, he's heard it from many of us. And I will still agree, even regardless if he's the best player on the board. He already had thumps. To draft Cripps just to use him as trade bait is a very poor idea. His schedule is so off, and he keeps trying to sell it as in, oh, he could be there for at least half the season. That doesn't matter. There's one captain in this league right now that desperately needs a goalie, and it's Yam. And Yam doesn't really have the right pieces to trade to Dom that's A, worth it, or B, kind of to say, there's nobody really of value to trade for Cripps, but at the same time, you can't trade one of your starters away for a goalie that's not going to be there half the time. And Cripps is honestly probably the best goalie in this league, with Thomps at a very, very close second. And my thing is, Dom needs to keep Thomps starting and needs to keep him playing to get Thomps familiar and comfortable with his defensive pair in front of him, the whole offense in front of him. He needs to be that one goalie that he has, and Cripps just needs to be used at wherever else he can be, because those 2 part-time left defensemen that he has to use, that they're both management for an LG team in the CHL. So I just don't think it was a smart move on his part to go with a part-time goalie, basically, then have 2 part-time defensemen as well. when it most likely wasn't going to work out. I just don't think it was a smart move. He's not going to get the value out of Cripps. I think Pale hit the nail on the head. You're going to have to see about this team. Dolly's going to have to carry it so hard in order for it to have success, in my opinion. But they could absolutely go against everything I just said and probably show it up.
I don't think there's any way that you make a 1-for-1 deal for B Cribs. I don't think there's any, unless it's like one of your extra players.
Yeah,
like
and it might have to be a 2 for 2.
You can trade a roster player for B Cribs and see that it is value, because you're only getting half the season out of them. So you can't take a downgrade on your roster, like on your guys that you're playing, for a goalie that's going to play half the season. You're making a hole and then making another hole in your net. You'd shoot yourself in the foot. It's got to be a 2-for-2 trade, and I don't know. I just don't think anybody values B Cripps where he got drafted, and I think Dom isn't going to take anything less than that. And at some point, either Dom's expectation of the value of what he wants for him has to come down, or B Cripps is just going to rot on the roster.
Well, perfect. This is what I kind of said to Dom at first. Realistically, there was three captains I had in my own mind that I thought could draft B Cripps and get away with it within the 4th or 5th round, maybe. I was thinking more of the late 5th. It's you, Pale, myself, or Mac North, and it's because all 3 of us can play goalie. So if we draft him, he's that other goalie that we can play when he's there because he's the better goalie out of all 3 of us. But then we play net when he's not there. I mean, it wasn't part of my draft idea, but if he would have been there, you damn well know I probably would have done it. I just don't think it was the right move. Like, I think you said it exactly the right way.
Well, the interesting thing is like, I'll play devil's advocate on this, and with B Cripps, I think whoever comes to the party first and is willing to overpay is going to get a guy, as Pale said, for half the season, right? Basically a part-time player. Fair assessment. But the thing is we've all agreed, right, that B Cripps is probably the best goalie in the league. So You're getting the best goalie in the league for half your games. He gives you a legitimate chance to win every single night.
Think about how big of a
I'm not saying it's right.
Team.
I'm not saying it's right. Yeah. I'm playing devil's advocate. But
think about how big of a push he can make for a team going into playoffs if he can play in the playoffs. You know, like that's a big add-on to any team. But it's still it Pale's right. You can't trade a starting roster player, which is what Dom wants, for B Cripps. It's not a smart trade at all. Like, nobody can do it. At least nobody should do it.
Well, here's the thing. We're not going to spend all day talking about the B Cripps thing because we've got 10 more teams to touch. So we're going to move on to Drug Monkey. Now, Drug Monkey's team is yet to play a game. And the reason he's yet to play a game, Buddy came down with serious case of, I believe it was diverticulitis. But as far as my sources are telling me, that the pharmacist is out of the hospital. So hopefully he's on his way to recovery and he'll be ready to go next week. But let's talk about his team. He's got all the just kidding, man. Fuck that shit. He's not on the team anymore. But he got Drug Monkey, Headless Frangu, Belial, Ozzy, Rye Guy, Sabby, and then Marine Mike. Now, Marine Mike's going to be in net for this team. Drug and Headless Frangu are the same deep pair that was on Jelly's, not Jelly's. Yeah, it was Jelly's team, right?
No, there you go.
Or not Jelly's team. Wow. Oh, boys. The team that went to the finals, by the way, sorry, didn't mean to do that, Pale. My apologies. I know that's still sitting somewhat fresh in your mind, although we're in a new season, so we'll probably let that one go. But Headless Ragu really came through last year. Drug goes and gets him. Knew he could probably get him late because nobody really knew about him, although they should have, right? Because the guy was playing in the fucking 239 Cup Finals. But they get to reunite that deep pair. And now you have Belial, Ozzy, and Rye Guy up front, which it looks like, Belial probably your center, Ozzy on right wing because that's his bit. Rye Guy, a.k.a. Kuzi, on left wing with Sabby as your extra. This team offensively and all around really, really looks good. I think the question mark is going to be Marine Mike. Is it going to be how does he do in his first full season in net? It's basically him. There's nobody else behind him. I don't see Drug really making any trades because I think he really likes his forward. He obviously likes his D. It's something he's familiar with. It's going to come down to Marine Mike and net for me. But Pale, what do you think about Drug's team? How do you think they stack up? What do you think going forward?
Yeah, I really like Drug's offense. I don't know a whole lot about Kuzi, Rye Guy. I know that he's a guy that used to be pretty good, but he's playing with two really talented players in Belial and Ozzy. Both those guys can move the puck. Both those guys are a little dangly. They know how to get to the net. And then obviously, I really like their defense. They were my defense last season, and we went to the finals with them. Headless Frangu, he's a guy that you can talk to, will listen, and will move the puck quick, which is what you need in a defenseman. Drug Monkey saw it. He knew what he was getting with Headless Frangu this season. He really enjoyed playing with him last season, and obviously went into the draft targeting him specifically and got him. This team revolves around their goalie right now. It's going to be whether Marine Mike shows up to play and can he play well. Bailey mentioned in the last segment, Yam's the only team that really needs a goalie. Well, Drug Monkey may actually need a goalie too, and he's got a backup player in Sabby who can play. Maybe this is a spot where B Crips can land during the season. But no, I really like his team as constructed, and I think they're going to control the puck on teams. They're going to be a team that has a really high time on attack against most teams in this league, and I'm excited to see how they play. Obviously, they haven't had a series yet. If Drug got out of the hospital, he got out today. But I'm hoping that he's feeling better, and I know that's no joke. That's not something to that you'd wish on anybody. It's like a stomach infection or something like that. It's messed up. So Drug, hope you're feeling better, man, and I think your team's going to do really well once you get on the ice.
So we got that situated with Drug. Yeah, it was today. I believe I saw it in Captain's chat. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I've been at work, so I haven't.
You're good. You're good. I love it, man. You still got your name tag on. Like, you just don't even care. Like, I love it. Like I said it before we went on air. I love it.
I should make it say pale.
That would be great. Can you make you another one? Because that would be fantastic.
Well, I just made this one. I just wrote it on Sharpie, so
I can see it's not even like he doesn't even care. Aiden, man, what do you think about Drug's team, the makeup, the roster, the breakdown? They haven't played a game yet, but how do you see this team faring throughout the season?
Kind of like you guys said, their offensive lineup is just looking insane. Probably one of the best in the league, from at least on paper. Looking forward to see how I think Marine Mike's their starting goalie, right?
Yeah, it's Marine Mike.
So if Marine Mike's their starting goalie, I mean, obviously he's been trying to get his kind of shot on a team that wasn't already in last place or close to it. He kind of gets a fresh start on Drug's team, and if he can make it a name for himself, I don't think he's going to be the waiver king, I guess, again. So, I mean, we'll see how he himself up in the net.
Well, it's a good point that you bring up, because I feel like some of these guys, I look at Peaceful Bob, man, like he was a defenseman for a long time, didn't work. He goes into net, ends up winning a cup, which is such a cool story in its own right. And now he's in a weird situation over on Mac North's team. But, again, I think it's just goes to show you sometimes that change of pace, sometimes that change of position. Sober enough, perfect example, having a rough go a couple seasons at forward, decides to play D, gets to the Final Four in the playoffs last year. So shout out to him. Cortez, I know you're driving, man. I know you're getting after it, and I see my face with the gun, which is so sick, by the way.
You gotta love it.
But what do you think about Drug's team, man?
So Pale made a good point with Mike. I think Mike just needs a chance to kind of be able to play a consistent position in this league, so he can actually work on it and get better. And I think goalie is exactly where he needs to be. I think it's his best position. And, I mean, think about it last season. I don't remember who picked him up, but when the first series he played, I think it might have been Tom FTW's team, if I remember correctly. And he kind of shut out, surprised me. And then he went in the chat and kind of talked it up and everything. So, I mean, I think he's going to be a good, solid goalie, but it is a question mark, like Pale said. I mean, you brought up the idea of Bob. Bob is a guy who is probably going to be on the market now because Mac isn't too comfortable with his positioning on his team. And he's probably going to end up in net. And then you got a guy like Young Kelch that could possibly be traded for with goalie. And I just want to bring that up because Kelch is a great player, by the way. Any captain out there, 100%. You have mine and Daly's and probably Mac's blessing he can play anywhere on the ice. He's good enough to do it.
And a great dude, by the way. Young Kelch is a great guy, too.
100%. And I mean, overall, I think the team is going to have a great offensive touch. I don't know Rybish. I think that's his name. Is it Ry Guy or is it Rybish?
They
Vargas is
have Rye
Dom
Guy.
defenseman. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know how he plays yet, but I think the team will do well. But it's
Oh man, he must be going through the country roads there because that got a little bit weird. Anyways, we're gonna go on to Jelly's team now. I'm gonna break your team down, Jelly, but I'm gonna make a rule for the rest of the season. Captains who don't have their stats in, their teams get fucking look.
anything.
What? Is Cortez high? What's happening?
We can't hear you, Cortez.
Yeah,
you're
Cortez,
going through.
you're breaking up, man. Here's the thing.
I
If
should
you
be
get your
caught now,
stats in, I skip over your team. If I was going to do an analysis of your team, I'm not. So maybe this will help. Maybe me yelling at people isn't enough. So maybe if your players, if I skip over your team and none of your players get to hear an analysis of their squad that week, then they can yell at you, and then maybe, just maybe, you'll get your stats in. How about that? That way. So, cool. So we're gonna go to Jelly's team here. He's got
am I caught up real quick?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good.
Okay.
We got Surprise Me, D-Swish, Necky, Beautiful Wiener, the beautiful one, and Master Shotgun and Coop. So let's take a look at the roster. It looks like Surprise Me is probably on right wing. I think you got Necky, Beautiful Wiener on D. Shotgun and net. And then what is it? Jelly, Surprise Me, and D-Swish up front. I'm interested to see how Coop plays into this mix because I think Coop is a left wing preferred. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
so if D-Swish isn't working out, if D-Swish isn't working out, then maybe, you see Coop get in there. But I think Jelly wanted to give Swish that chance. They're getting to play with a guy like Surprise Me. I watched the games the other night. They were able to take a series win, 2-1. There's another series in question that I think is a loss. That's the one that Jelly hasn't done. Don't be that guy who puts their stats in when they win and not when they lose. See, look, I'm just getting all mad and shit. Like, I was cool before I came on here, and then like the stream went down, and now I feel my blood boiling. And like, I haven't had to do this for a couple weeks because I've been fucking rogue, but now I feel it. So, Pale, what do you think about Jelly's team, and how do you think they're going to fare this season?
Well, first, I think it's pretty cool that Surprise Me and his brother, Beautiful Wiener, are getting to play together. I think that's a cool dynamic. Aside from that, I'm not too confident about this team's chances. I just don't know how well Surprise Me is going to mesh with the other two forwards up front. Jelly's a pretty offensive player for somebody that's going to be playing center. I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling it with Jelly's roster. I know they got a series win.
I was going to ask you, I mean, this is a guy last year who people really slept on his team, and they ended up making it into the playoffs. I think they got bounced in round one, but are we doubting Jelly yet again?
I don't know if it's just doubting Jelly. Like, I think he made a draft where he put himself in like a bad situation, like as positionally as a player. Like, I think Jelly's a pretty good, like an elite right wing. And then he went out and drafted another elite right wing and then put himself at center where he's not best positionally. And Jelly's not one of those guys that has shown that he can really play in any position. He's not a guy that's shown that he can be really good in other positions yet. I just don't know how this team's going to work out. Nexus and Beautiful Wiener are going to give you good defense, but you're not going to get much offensive production out of those two players. And then your left wing situation is a complete unknown. You've got Coop 24, who played on Tom FTW's dumpster fire season last season, and D-Swish, who's never really proven to be a good player in this league either. So I'm just not all that confident about Jelly's squad right now. I think everything is laying on Surprise Me's shoulders, and we'll see whether he can make it happen or not.
Aiden, man, this is a couple of your homies, man. What do you think about Jelly's squad and how they're going to do this season?
Well, we were the team that he hasn't done his stats for yet, and we played them, and we got the series sweep, and from what I've seen with their team, their offense is actually like they seem to have their like plays down. I guess not really. Like they have a situation or they have a style of play that they like to play, kind of like the Chili Con Carnage, kind of throw it on net, kind of go for a greasy goal type of thing. But they like to make runs through the center, try and find Jelly, kind of cutting behind the defense, and then surprisingly kind of waits up and gives it to him. D-Swish, same thing. But from what I've seen from that team, their defense is their team D is kind of questionable. I found myself a couple times just being able to straight line through the whole entire team and just being able to get an easy breakaway. But I mean, I don't know if that's just because it's so early in the season or from what I've heard, they have to practice a whole lot. So I mean, hopefully they get on that. And to be honest, Master Shotgun didn't have his best of games. I think he knows that. But I don't think these guys are going to miss the playoffs, though. I just think Jelly maybe is 1 or 2 trades away from maybe having a really good team. But if he's going to trade somebody, I think he either going to have to get rid of a defenseman for a really good left wing and maybe have like an even more loaded offense, or maybe trade somebody on his forward line for a defenseman, which I mean I don't know who you're going to get because I don't think he's going to surprise me. And obviously, he can't trade himself, so I mean.
Surprise me is going to be the piece he has to move, but it's going to have to be a 2-for-2. And I think if that happens, it's going to have to be a 2-for-2. He's going to upgrade somewhere, whatever it is. I mean, we're not in panic mode yet, right? Like it can't be. They're what?
Yeah,
you guys sweep them, Aiden?
Yeah. I don't think he's really in too much trouble. He got swept, but he also got the series win. So I mean, he is under 500, but it's only the first 2 series, so he can obviously come back from that.
Well, I'll send it to you, Cortez. You're familiar with Jelly as well. What do you think of the squad, the roster, the makeup?
I'll tell you this. I think Pale said it perfectly about the team. But the thing is, when we played them, there was not a single surprise me really had to carry that team, okay? And obviously that's kind of like the whole point that you see there. But the problem is, Surprise Me was able to probably score 2 or 3 decent goals in that whole series, but the rest of the goals that were scored were all turds. They were like double deflections. It was like bad goals, and I think that team's going to struggle offensively. And I think Coop's a better option over D-Swish, but I know he's more familiar with D-Swish. But I think Pale just had it right. I think Jelly kind of put himself into a corner, having to go with Surprise Me, and that's just kind of what happened at that time. But I think it's going to be a question mark team for sure.
All right. Well, let's move on to Mac North. We got Pogs, Agent, BBX, Bubba Man, Mac North himself, Sea-Doo, and Peaceful Bob. My sources tell me that Peaceful Bob has actually been benched. And I don't even necessarily think it's because of his bad play. I just think that Mac had these ambitions of playing forward. It just hasn't working out. And now he's pulled himself into net. So you got Pogs, Agent, and I guess BBX up front with Bubba Man and Sea-Doo on defense. Man, the team looks like it's going to be in some trouble. Sea-Doo's great on the back end, but obviously when you take that D-man in round 1, you always run that risk of not having, a dynamic forward lineup because you're not picking again for so long. But Pale, when you look at this roster up and down, what do you think?
So who's playing right wing on their team? Because I know it was tried to be Mac North.
It's either going to be. I think BBX is up to forward from what I believe, but I'm not sure.
If BBX goes forward, he needs to be center. I'm just going to say that now. Pogs will have to move, and Pogs is going to be center.
I think that they kept it at BBX and Sea-Doo on D. I think they might have put Bubba Man on right wing. I don't know what exactly they did. I think obviously right wing is the hole here. And I think that Bob's going to be the trade chip to try and fill that hole. What they can get, I don't know. This is another team that I think is going to be struggling a little bit. Pogs and Agent is a good start at forward. I think they just need to find a good fit for somebody on right wing there. Sea-Doo obviously is an anchor on defense, and BBX is honestly a really good defenseman himself. if he gets out of that mindset of holding the puck. I've played with him a couple times in preseason, and he was actually up on my draft board. I wanted to get him if things didn't go differently for my draft. I really liked playing with BBX, to be honest. I think sometimes he gets into a mode where he wants to hold the puck, but if you play with him and you kind of lay it out that we're looking to move the puck quick, he can play that style of game too. And on defense, he was positionally sound. I was pretty impressed by what he could do. So that defensive pairing is going to be stifling, and they're not going to have a whole lot of goals scored against them, especially not with Pogs up front, who himself is a really good defensive player. So I think that the right pieces are involved. I think that there just needs to be a move made here where Peaceful Bob goes to a team that either needs a goalie or needs a backup goalie, and somebody can give him a different option on right wing. How soon that happens, who knows? I think that they could be a playoff bubble team. I think that's where I had them ranked in my power rankings. I like his team. I think that there's a hole, and they've got a piece that can fill it. They just need to make a right move.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does Bob have lefty willing?
I'm sure he does.
I think he's got all 6 willing.
Well, so let me say this. I think BBX at left wing. I think if Agent has right wing willing, I think Mark. No offense to Mark, I think Mark's the weakest forward out of if it's between BBX, Pogs, and him. I think Mark needs to be moved to the right side. Let Pogs be that center, and let BBX be that guy that really controls the.
Cortez, I love you, but you are breaking up in a bad way.
I'll tell you perfectly. Great. Is it bad?
Yeah, it's bad.
Is it more clear? Oh, here, just skip over me.
Okay, you're good now, but I'll send it to you, Aiden. When you're looking at Mac's team, man, I think we're all agree right wing seems like it could be an issue. What do you think about this team?
Well, just to clear up a few things of this team, Peaceful Wild does have every position willing. That's one thing. And then another thing, I'm looking at the games that they previously played on the scoreboard, and it shows that they had Bubba Man at lefty, and they had BBX at left wing, Adrian at right wing, and Pogs at center with Mac North in there. So,
okay.
I guess.
Just so you got Bubba Man out for Peaceful Bob. It's a better option, in my opinion.
So
yeah, I mean, you're looking at it. Basically, Mac has some flexibility, but I don't think he's like super. Okay, so let's say you put Bob in for Bubba at lefty. Let's say you did that. Are you really getting that much stronger? I don't think so. And this isn't a slight at Bubba. It's not. I just feel like they're very on par skill sets. So I don't think you're truly upgrading, I guess. But like, I get it. If you need to change of scenery, something different, I would get it. I think we can all agree this team is going to struggle scoring. When I look at the forward lineup, you have Pogs, who's never really been the guy offensively. BBX, he's a really, really good player. I find sometimes it's hard to read off of him. It's hard to read. And, if you see plays a certain way, he sees plays his way. You might see it play a different way. And it's a very patient game you got to play. You got to play a very patient game. So it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment that can be very difficult, but I think Mac North has a trade in his future, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Next team is Marty McFly's team. This team has some interesting dynamics as well. You have Welcome to the Web, who's all but locked at center, BTW, all but locked at left wing, and then that's where shit gets interesting. Cosmic, maybe you can pull this up for me. But I know either Marty McFly or Hugh Laurie, one of these two is playing right D. I'm not sure as to which one is playing right D, but I know one of them is, with Hollywood Bob on lefty and Sniper manning the pipes. So here's the thing. Marty and Hugh are both not right D. I'm assuming it's McFly on right D.
I'm pretty sure it's McFly that's been playing right D.
And Hugh is probably at center with Webb on the wing now that I'm thinking about it, if that's the route he went. If Marty was playing forward, then you would move Webb to center. But if Marty's playing D, then you put Hugh at center, Webb on the wing. Let Webb be a bit more offensive, not have to worry as much about that 200-foot game. I like this team. If McFly can be good defensively, I really think Right D, he did it a couple years ago. He was playing left. It's a fucking different game, man. From going from playing defense as a forward to being that last line as a D. If McFly can figure it out, this team is going to be tough. You have Webb, who's a really good scorer. You have BTW, who's a really good scorer. Hugh Laurie is a perfect fit into those two. But can the defense hold up? And is Sniper going to get back into his form? Now, people don't know this about Sniper, but he used to be one of the elites. He was an elite goaltender for a long time. Can he get back into that form? So I'll send it over to you, Pale. What do you think of Marty McFly's team, and how do you think they're going to fare for the rest of the year?
I think they have one of the best offenses in the league, and I think they're going to struggle defensively. Hugh Laurie is a great center, and he's a great defensive center. Marty McFly is also a great defensive center, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to translate to a great defensive D-man. And on this team, he's going to have to be, because Hollywood Bob is a guy who has filled in on a lot of teams and been in playoff runs at a lot of different positions. And he's a guy that, he can be a really solid player for a team, but he's playing defense with Marty McFly, who is also not a defenseman by nature. I don't see the team having a great defense. And Sniper, he's a guy that, I've seen him play goalie a couple times now, and it has not looked all that great when he's been in net. From the times that I've seen it, he might have been an elite goalie at a certain point, but I haven't seen it in the last couple of games. I don't know how much he's actually played net the last couple games. We'll see. I think the back end is going to be a problem for this team, but their offense is going to score, and they're probably going to be in games because of it. This is another team I think is probably on the bubble. We'll see what happens.
What do you think, Aiden, when you look at this roster? The offense, your issue still the same, with the D goalie?
Well, this team, just to clarify all the positions, because I have it up here, you have Webb on right wing, BTW on left wing, Hugh Laurie down the middle with Hollywood Bob on left defenseman, Marty on right defenseman, and then Sniper in net. I was playing club games with Sniper in net the other day, and I didn't think he looked that bad. To be honest, I think he's a really good goalie. I mean, not necessarily elite like he used to be, but still very solid, and I think he's a good number one for this team. The only question mark I really see on this team is Hollywood Bob. Obviously, I've never really seen him play left defenseman at a really insane level, but this team's really going to give him that, starter opportunity. Hugh Laurie at center, I think that's a good spot for him to play with BTW and welcome to the Web. I think they're going to those two wingers are going to gel really well together. From what I've seen and what I've heard, they've played together a lot, and they kind of have a system that they play, like a really fast, run and gun kind of, but they can cycle at the same time. So there's a lot of different ways this team can play, but I see this team doing really well actually. So we'll see how that goes. I think their offense is really good, and I guess the only question mark is that defense. But other than that, I think Marty really put himself together a good team, and I see these guys making playoffs.
So what I'm going to do is
I should be good now, by the way.
Okay, just to move it along, just because, like I said, if we all four break down every team, we're going to spend like 20 minutes on each team. So we'll do like Pale, you and I will do a team, then Cortez, you and I will do a team, Aiden, you and I will do a team, just to kind of keep it going. Otherwise, we're going to be here till midnight. So again, there's a lot that we had stated it earlier in the show. So the next team we got is No Regretskis, Brian with a Y. He's got D-Mart on right D, No Regretskis himself on right wing, Holpe's at center, Grish is on left D, Annex Crispy's on left wing with Sober in net. And his bench player is Young Kelch. Shout out to Young Kelch, my homie. I look at this team, and D-Mart is leading the team with 4 points right now. And they're 0-2-1. It concerns me because it seems like there may be a struggle to score here. I'm not sure who they played in their first series. I don't have that information up right now. I know that the right side of the ice is going to be dynamic, but again, and D-Mart's a great player, but going from forward defense to defense is very, very, very different game. It is very easy to get caught flat-footed. It's very easy to get caught in general if you're not used to it. I find that a lot of forwards moving to tend to watch plays a little bit much because, you're not necessarily always as engaged in the play. So that's a problem. Next thing you know, it's going behind you. So really having to keep yourself engaged in the game. I'll send it to you, Bailey. Looking at Noah Regretzky's team, 0-2-1 is obviously a rough start. But when you look at some of the names on the squad, how do you think they're going to fare for the rest of the season?
So the thing is with this team is, the problem is, and I told Brian it in personal messages since day one, he feels comfortable with the way Holtby plays at center. I had a discussion with Brian, I think it was 2 nights ago. I think Crispy is kind of the odd man out on the forward lineup, but I'm telling you right now, Crispy was who I was going to pick in the 3rd round, but I decided to take Swag, so I had a known finisher that could really finish for my offense. But he's a great player, and the problem is, I think he needs to let his team have time to develop, because Crispy will adjust to their style, but Holtby doesn't play that traditional center style because Brian's very particular with how he wants his center to play, and that's what Kyle does for him. So Kyle adjusts around him, which throws Crispy off, especially being a new guy in the league and being on his off wing. So it's going to take a little bit for him to adjust, but overall, the team's good. I mean, you got D-Mart on a team, you got Noah Regretzky's on a team, and that's gold. But Dan's in his, playing defense, and I think you give Dan a few weeks and a few series to get comfortable. They haven't really practiced, I've heard, much because Brian had his World Juniors thing with Team USA there for a little while. And you give this team time, I think they'll really mellow out. Sober's solid in net. Like, you can't really say much bad about him. We'll see if that's consistent this season. And, he's got a solid team all around. I just think his forward lineup, they need to find a way to let Crispy figure out how to be comfortable up there, because Brian plays he plays a system that you can read it defensively, but he always manages to make it work, and it's so hard as the winger who's on that offside when the puck's not on your side a lot to know exactly where to be when Brian doesn't use below the net. Like, he tries to hit his center up top of the circle for a one-timer or his defenseman. So it's just trying to adjust. So you give the team some time, and I think they'll be one of the best teams in this league, but they need to figure that out.
I feel position changes are a lot harder than people give credit for. I feel that, and I love Dan. Everybody knows that. I think he's really going to struggle. This is not the easiest game in the world to play D, and to try and do it at this level with, the last 3 months of the game, I think it's a tough task. But if there's a guy who can do it, I think it is Dan. But I see this team being more middle of the pack. And Sober's got to be solid. No softies. Team D looks like it's going to be good. Grish is really, really solid on the bat. No softies. Cannot happen. As long as he does that, this team will compete. But I think that's where Sober can falter at times, is those softies. So if he can limit that, they're going to be tough. They're going to be there. So next team is Pale Poner's team. And it's so rough to see this 0-3-0 because we had a couple really, really big scrim games last week. And the games are so tight and so close. So for me to see the 0-3-0 mark was a little bit shocking. We got Pale Poner up the middle with Stradios on right wing, Sunny D, his LG buddy, on left wing, Beastly Jesus and Rondon Volante on D, which could probably be one of the better pairs in the league. And Derek GNR is a very, very underrated goalie, underrated player in general, but definitely underrated goalie. I'm going to send it over to you, Aiden, because I'm not going to have Pale do his own team, although I'll let him speak on his team, but I won't have him do his own team. What do you think about Pale's roster? The 0-3 start is obviously rough, but when you see some of the names on this team, what do you think, and how do you think they'll fare in the season?
I'm just pulling up his team real quick because I really don't know any of the teams I don't know. So Pale Poner, Stradios, and so I see this team has a really strong defense with Beastly Jesus and Rondon Volante on the back end. I remember Stradios being in the league, but I don't really remember or I know he was obviously played forward, but I really don't know what his style was, or how well he did. Obviously, Sunny D is a rookie. I remember playing him in like a online, like a club game, and it seemed like he played really well in the system, and he liked to cycle the puck and kind of a finisher type of guy. So I don't really see what the problem here is. Maybe something just isn't working, or uh, chemistry is just not there. Derek GNR looks like he's going to be their goalie. I know he just kind of floats around in positions, and he's kind of quiet, but he's a very good player. So, well, maybe it's just beginning of the season type jump or something like that. But I don't really see how his team's failing. But well, I guess only time will tell, because I can't really tell what's wrong here. So,
Pale, I mean, we saw you the other day. It was good games, tight games too. Both of us go out and lose all 3 games in our first series, man. But again, how you feeling about the squad, and what do you think going forward, man?
I really like my squad, man. We played 3 games against Schwartz's team, and I knew that Schwartz's team was going to be good, and they came out and they proved it. They scored a lot of dirty goals against us, and I think they just kind of caught us off guard with how they were playing. I don't think that we're gonna struggle like that really again in the season, but we'll see. I just think that I've got a really good defensive squad, and we're gonna move the puck well, and I really like my team. I don't think that we're gonna have the same issues that we had against Schwartz versus really anybody else in the league. I just think that we got a really tough matchup week 1, and we didn't really have a whole lot of practice with our full squad. It just is what it is. I mean, sometimes guys match up against other teams really well, and sometimes it doesn't. And it just didn't work out for us in the one series that we played. So we'll see what happens the rest of the way. But I'm confident that I've got a good team, and everybody else that I played in preseason, we played like we played your team daily. It was very low scoring, very tight checking, just really grinded out series that we were able to make things happen in. And I think that's how our team is going to play for the most part for the rest of the season. And I'm excited to see what we can do.
Bailey, you and I got this next one, man. Schwartz, his squad's 5-1. You got Schwartz, John Monkey, Donnie Wood with Easy Real and I think Easy Real is playing. I think he's playing defense. I don't know, or is Donnie Wood?
In our series, Easy Real wasn't there, so Donnie Wood played center with Schwartz on right wing and John Monkey on left wing, and then he had Mr. Mike Scott and Rocco on D. But I think when Easy Real played, I think he had him on right wing. I'm not entirely sure about that though.
So how does that work in? I thought Donnie would refuse D. Am I wrong?
No, Donnie Wood's got D open.
So that's what's going to happen. Donnie Wood.
It should be Donnie Wood and Rocco on D.
Okay.
With Schwartz, Ezreal, and John Monkey on forward.
Okay.
When Ezreal's there.
And he's got ability in net, who's off to a really good start this season, and then Pounders is his extra. There's one thing that really is alarming to me about this team, and it's the discrepancy in points between Schwartz and everybody else. Schwartz has 25 points. John Monkey has 16. That's the next closest with Donnie Wood at 14. I know he's playing defense. Saney did have 9 in 3 games, which is on the par. Maybe if he's played all 6, that number's higher. I always get really weary when I see huge discrepancies like that. Obviously, Schwartz is a guy who can score. He can't put the puck in the net. I get that. But that tells me, one guy doing a lot of work, and that always scares me. But you can't deny the results. They're 5-1-0 right now. Ability seems to be playing really good. Cortez, what do you think about Schwartz's team and how they're going to fare the rest of the season?
Schwartz is a good player, no doubt. I mean, we all know that he's going to be the one carrying that offense, and Saney is obviously he's another number one guy on the offense. And those two together will do some great work. I know Saney has I think it might be Mondays he cannot play, and Schwartz refused a different days. So like on those days where they have those series, you're going to see that lineup change a little bit. But this team's going to be good, and Donnie and Rocco are solid defensively. Like they're both good. Like they're both. They would probably be a second defenseman between a great pair, but because they're both solid, I mean, I would compare them to Kayla or maybe a little bit less. And I think you have two of those on your back end. That's great. And if ability, like we all know, if ability's on his game, he's one of the better goalies in this league. But he hasn't really had the greatest go the last 2 seasons, and it's been rough since season 5, basically. So he kind of needs to get in his groove. But if Schwartz can carry this offense with Saney there, that's going to kind of what's going to carry this team. And I think the 5-1 start is going to help them out. But if a defensive team knows how to swarm and just cover Schwartz, that takes a lot away from this team. But still, Saney's still there. So I think you're going to see this team be in the playoffs regardless. I don't think you're going to see them miss. I think you're going to see them finish in the top 4 or 5 teams in the season. I just think they're a good team, but you're completely right that the point discrepancy needs to be there a little bit more, because if they just adjust, it's going to be a long season for that team.
So the next team we got on the dock is Joey Stolpa's team, which I believe is 5-1 as well, but Jelly has failed with stats. Stolpa, Cosmic Fade. It looks like Desire Customs has played in a couple games as well. Blue Line King, DJ and Net, and Edge on. How is this working, Cosmic? What's your lineup before I break you guys down?
First series we had Desire Customs on right wing and Josto on left wing with Edge and Blue Line King on defense. But as of now, and I think we're gonna move forward with me at center, Josto at right wing, Edge at left wing, Desire Customs on right defenseman, and Blue Line King on left defenseman with DJ and Net. And
then DJ and Net. So things I love about this team, DJ and Net. Even though the Sarge has been busy doing Sarge things, he's still an elite goaltender, even in the game, and not playing that much. Joe's on right wing. I know he's diverse. I don't know if he could play left-handed. It's going to be a lot of right-handed shots out there, I believe, and maybe Cosmic can confirm that. DC, his best position is right D, in my opinion, right D or right wing, and Blue Line King is definitely going to hold it down on the back end for them. I overall, I like this team. I think the hole is going to be that third forward, because you're going to have somebody ultimately playing out of position at some point somewhere. So although, maybe, Edge is a good like left wing, different things like that, somebody's going to be playing out of position. And even if that person's Josto knows that's part of being a captain. But Cosmic, I won't have you break your own team down, but Pale, what do you think about Joey Stolpa's team, and how do you think they're going to fare this season?
Yeah, I like Josto's team overall. I think he's got a lot of really solid players, but I think you hit the nail on the head that he drafted a lot of left wingers. He drafted a lot of guys that are right-handed shots, and he's a left winger himself, so it's tough. I like the defensive pair of Desire Customs and Blue Line King. I think DC, he's a really solid forward. He's a solid two-way player, but I think he's going to be able to make the adjustments to defense pretty well. Up front, there's just a lot going on there. I mean, you guys have obviously made it work so far. I just think that at some point down the line, there's probably going to be a trade to be made for somebody that normally plays left-handed and wants to play the right side of the ice. So we'll see whether that happens or not. But I like the team overall. I just think that there's a lot of guys that want to play right-handed that want to play on the left side of the ice. And yeah, like I said, we'll probably see a trade for somebody that plays the right side at some point.
Here we go. Next team, Thams. Aiden, you and I got this one. 4-0-2. Amazing Viper leading that team with 13 points. He'll be playing left wing. Hockey Town at center. Thams on right wing. Hellcat at left D. Shock at right D. And Link Runner in net. Crazy Yeti. And shout out to Crazy Yeti, man. He is, from what I've heard, he's in the hospital right now. So, guys, keep him in your prayers. A lot of crazy stuff happening with Crazy. So hopefully he can get better, get strong, get back at it. So shout out to him. I'm sure he's probably not listening, but if you guys can reach out to him, let him know that we're thinking about him, that would be awesome as well. So shout out to him. But this team right now, man, they're 4-0-2. I am such a huge fan of this team for a couple of reasons. One, I love that continuity aspect that or that familiarity. This team played together. Three of the 6 members played together last year. And when you're only moving a couple pieces, that makes the team very strong. So take into account Chili Con Carnage, they were able to build 3-6 of that team last year and ultimately won a cup. So I think that that's something to be said about what Thamps has done here. He's able to get three of the 6 people, including himself, back on this team. Aiden, when you look at this team up and down, how do you feel about this Thamp squad?
Well, Thamps' team is the first team that we played in the season. Their lineup is very, as of last season, they were a very trap-based team. Like, they like to sit back and wait for you to make the first mistake, and that's kind of the same thing this season. From what I've seen, Link Runner is my question mark for this team. It was weird because in the series, I had a couple goals where I just kind of had the puck in the slot and I just shot it, and then it's kind of one of those goals where it goes in and you're just like, oh, okay, like I just got that one, that's cool. But if he can just kind of fix his game a little bit, I think that team's gonna be all right. Another question mark I saw was their offense seems to they have a lot of really good like run plays, but once they start to get red, and once you kind of start to tell what they're gonna do play by play, they kind of run out of options, and then they kind of just throw everything on that, which isn't a bad thing. But if they can just get a lot more creative on offense, I think their team's gonna do really well. As of last season, you saw they didn't really get the best of starts, but they got hot towards the end of the season, and they made it into the playoffs in the 7th seed and ended up knocking my team, who was in the 2 seed, out. So, I mean, anything can happen with this team, really. So, I really like this team, and I see this team being one of the playoff teams this season. So, shout out to fans.
Cortez, man, when we're looking at this Daily squad next, you got Tony Amani on left wing, Quantum Tech up the middle, Daly on right wing, Wingles left D, Chew Therapy right D, and Slicky in net with Gunny as the backup. What do you think about this team? 0-2-1 start to start the season. You actually got to see the squad. What do you think, and how do you feel about them moving forward the rest of the way?
Like I said to you, I think the biggest hole on your team is goaltending, and I think that's if you can correct that problem, or if Slicky can correct that problem, I think your team is a shoo-in for finishing in the top part of this league. The offense is there. The defense is there. Like, our goals weren't pretty in that series, and you guys kept it tight on us. But Slicky being in net, I know that some shots were thrown from some weird spots and, like, some pucks went in, and it's due to some inconsistencies in net. So if Slicky can fix that, I think you have an absolute great team. You and SO mesh really well together. I think Quantum's just going to fit in perfectly now. Chew is a very solid right defenseman. I think he's just going to keep getting better as he keeps playing it. And Wingles, I know he's a rookie this season here, but he is a great left defenseman. He was on my draft board. He can carry a puck. He can pass the puck. He can do a lot of things. He's very good positionally as well. I think your team's going to finish just fine. But like I said, goaltending it could be the kryptonite to this team, for sure.
Okay. Pale, you and I are going to handle the last one here. That's Captain Ballbag's team. This one has been quite the interesting one, to say the least, thus far. You got DL. What does DL stand for?
Downloaders. That was his clan that he ran with in like Call of Duty and whatnot.
I always thought it was Dick Lips, but Downloader sounds good. So Downloaders, Brick City, NJ is obviously New Jersey. Jofus, that one odd guy. Yambag, McGilla, and Epic with Kinky and Marine. Or no, not Marine, Mike. Kinky and Knife in Your Guts are his extra squad players. By all accounts, Epic is in net. I've heard things about the team. I've heard they've met. Brick is a very vocal player on the forums as well. You've seen some help me things and different things like that. But when you look at this team up and down, Pale, what do you get? How do you feel? And how's this team going to do as constructed?
As constructed, I think they're gonna not do too well. I think there's room for improvement. That one odd guy is being asked to play forward for the first time in this league, and he has to do it on his least comfortable position in left wing. He traditionally plays left-handed, so he's being asked to play right-handed on left wing. And I think that this team would be better served with odd guy on center and Brick on left wing, but apparently that's not an option because I guess EM doesn't want Brick on left wing or Brick doesn't want Brick on left wing, one or the other. Yambag and McGill are a good D pair. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, there's a question mark in goaltending. Epic Sandwich is a guy, to be honest, I played with him in preseason, and I think if he did a better job at marketing himself, at trying to actually scout and really playing with all the captains, I think he probably would have gotten drafted higher and would have been a starter on somebody's roster at defense. But I just think he's somebody that's a little bit quieter. He's definitely not quiet in parties, but I think he's just somebody that's a little bit unknown. He hasn't really put himself out there a whole lot. But he's trying out to play goalie, and by the way Yam talks, he's been playing pretty solid in net. Yam obviously has Kinky in his back pocket as well. I don't know whether she's going to play half the games or whether Epic's going to play all the games. I think with a newer goalie in Epic, I think the more games you get them in, the better. So we'll see whether Kinky plays much, if not at all. I don't know. But up front, I mean, Brick and Jofus is a good start. They know each other. Me, Jofus, Mags, Brick, Figo, and all them, we've played club together for a long time, so they're familiar with each other. They know how to interact with each other in the party and how each other play. So, I mean, it's a start, but I think odd guy is the weak point right now. I think, not really by his fault. I think he's just playing his wrong-handedness on the wrong side of the ice. He's a guy that could benefit by switching to center or right wing, but we'll see.
It was so much information today. It was a lot. I think this season is going to have a ton of parity. I think that there's not going to be a true runaway team. I think that even the 5-1s, Pale, I think, mentioned it. Certain teams just match up better against other teams. So I think like right now, when you look at these rosters, like, oh yeah, this team's 5-1, but I think those teams will struggle with other teams, and maybe the teams that lost to those teams are going to end up drumming other teams. I just feel like this could end up being one of the best parity seasons that we have. I know we say that every year, but based on the captains list and the rosters, different things like that, every team has holes. Like not one team is really like, oh, I look at this roster and I see like no issues whatsoever. So there's a lot of different factors that play in. I think this is going to be a very parity-based league. I think this season is going to come down to the very last week as far as teams still competing. There's so many different things happening. And it's a summer season. Last summer season was a huge success for us. I think this one's going to be as well. So that brings us right up to the wire. It's 10 o'clock Eastern. Pale, you got anything before we head out here, man?
I don't have a whole lot, man. I'm excited that we got this in today, man. I know it was looking a little iffy on whether we were even going to have a panel at all. It was looking like it was going to be X Daily by himself today. But I'm glad that we got it in, and I hope we get another one in next week. But the scheduling with all of us on the Throwdown has been rough the last couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens, and I hope that we get it in again next week.
Yeah, we're gonna be here. It's summer, man. We're human too. So Aiden coming in last minute, aka Cosmic Fade. I call everyone by their first name. It's just a thing, except for Pale. I call Pale. But Cosmic, man, anything on the way out here?
I just want to make a quick announcement here. So this whole time I was kind of looking off. I got big NHL 14. And, we got GM connected. Me and Brian, or No Regrets Skis, are starting. if any of you guys are interested and you have your Xbox 360, just hanging around with NHL 14, just let us know. Or we're trying to start a full GM connected league if any of you guys are interested. The post is on the forum, so just reply in there, and But other than that, I got nothing. I'm looking forward to the season, and yeah, that's about it.
I would, man, but it would fuck up my game. Like, it would fuck up like my 17 or 18 or whatever game we're on. It would fuck up my game. Because I have it.
Good.
I have it. I loved
right
NHL 14, by the way. But listen, that's it for the Throwdown, man. It's been another edition. I haven't played hockey, it seems like, in forever. I'm about to hop online. So if anybody's sitting there playing and needs one, let me know. I'm about to get after it. But until next time, this has been another edition of the Thursday Throwdown on a Friday. And I guess that makes us the longest running episodic show in 239 history because the sober didn't run tonight. So I believe that holds true. So until next time, guys, Thursday Throwdown crew, we're out. Peace.
Peace.